Witch of Endor, Episode 1, The Silent King, based on 1 Samuel 28.
God, why have you forsaken me?
King Saul could not sleep. For 3 nights, he had lain awake in his palace, staring into the darkness. The Philistine army gathered on the plains like storm clouds on the horizon. But it was not the enemy outside that kept him awake. It was the silence from heaven.
God, why have you forsaken me? I am lost. What must I do? God, why have you abandoned me? Where is your presence? Have I truly lost everything?
He had prayed. Oh, how he had prayed. He sought the prophets. He consulted the sacred Urim and Thummim, hoping for divine guidance. But God did not answer. Not by dreams, not by prophets, not by the sacred lots. Not at all. Once, long ago, God had spoken to Saul. Through the prophet Samuel, the Lord had chosen him, a young man from the smallest tribe, and made him king over Israel.
The Lord has chosen you.
I am not worthy.
Yes, you are. Rise, King of Israel.
But Saul had disobeyed. In his pride, he had made sacrifice without waiting for the prophet. In his weakness, he had spared what God commanded destroyed. And Samuel spoke the words that would haunt him forever. Because you have rejected the word of the Lord, he has rejected you as king. The Lord has torn the kingdom of Israel from you and given it to one better than you.
You have rejected the word of the Lord, and now he has rejected you.
I did what was necessary. Have mercy.
You have disobeyed God.
No, I did not. The people did.
Your kingdom is torn from you.
And then Samuel died. All Israel mourned for him. They buried him at his home in Ramah. With Samuel's death, it seemed God's voice to Saul had died as well.
You were the rock, the conscience I needed.
We will miss you, Samuel.
I should have listened.
Now, sitting in his palace, Saul felt more alone than he had ever been. The Philistines were coming. His army was afraid. His sons would fight beside him. And God was silent.
I have failed. The kingdom is lost, and my soul is not my own.
Saul's servants saw his torment. They knew the king was desperate for answers. And in whispers, they spoke of a solution. Servant 1, my lord, there is a woman in Endor. Servant 2, she is a medium. It is said she can call up the spirits of the dead. The irony was bitter. Years ago, Saul himself had expelled all the mediums and spiritists from the land of Israel. He had hunted them, banned them, driven them into hiding. Now he would seek one out.
By the decree of the king, this sorcery is forbidden.
Have mercy, your majesty! I beg you!
The law of the land is absolute. Take her away!
No, please, I have done nothing!
Move faster, woman! You are forbidden, a danger to the kingdom. Seize her, now!
Mercy, I beg you, your majesty!
Drag her away!
That night, as his army slept, Saul made a decision that would seal his fate. He removed his royal robes. He covered his head like a common traveler. The king of Israel would disguise himself to visit the very type of person he had once condemned to death.
The time has come. The road ahead is long. Prepare the horses.
Under cover of darkness, Saul and 2 trusted servants slipped past the camp. They journeyed toward Endor, deep into enemy territory, where a woman waited who could speak to the dead. The king was about to disturb a prophet's rest, and nothing would ever be the same.
The path is clear. Be wary. Let us continue.
What happened in that cave would shock even those who trafficked with spirits.
Be ready. The Lord will deliver both Israel and you into the hands of the Philistines, and tomorrow you and your sons will be with me.
Previously on The Witch of Endor, Episode 1, The Silent King. King Saul was desperate. God had gone silent. The Philistines were coming. And in his desperation, he sought the one thing he had once forbidden, a medium who could speak to the
Keep your heads
dead.
down. Listen for movement. We're almost there. Stay alert.
The journey to Endor was treacherous. They had to pass through Philistine territory, sneaking past enemy camps in the darkness. One wrong step, one careless sound, and the king of Israel would be captured before the battle even began. But Saul pressed on. Fear of death drove him toward the forbidden. They reached Endor just before midnight. The village was silent. Most feared to even speak of what lived here, but Saul's servants knew. They pointed to a dwelling set apart from the others, half cave, half home, with smoke rising into the night sky. Inside, the woman waited, the medium, the Witch of Endor. The cave was simple, but the air inside was thick with something else. Incense, secrecy, and the lingering presence of things unseen.
State your name and purpose, stranger.
I seek guidance from the spirits you command.
Do you know who you ask this of? Your presence here is ill-advised.
A woman stepped from the shadows. Her eyes were sharp, hardened by years of living in fear.
What do you want? Why have you come here at this hour?
I need you to consult a spirit for me. Bring up the one I name.
Surely you know what Saul has done. He has cut off the mediums and spiritists from the land. Why are you setting a trap for me? Are you trying to get me killed?
As surely as the Lord live, you will not be punished for this. The irony was staggering. Saul swore by the name of the Lord he had disobeyed to protect a woman practicing what the Lord had forbidden.
I understand. Let it be done.
Whom shall I bring up for you? Bring up Samuel. The name hung in the air like a curse. Samuel, the prophet, the man of God, dead and buried, now about to be disturbed from his rest.
Mortem. Ignem. Anima. Specto. Umbra.
The woman began her ritual. She spoke words in ancient tongues. She called to the realm of the dead. This was forbidden. This was dangerous. This was real.
No! Oh no, it can't be! Stay back! No!
Why have you deceived me? You are Saul! The woman shrieked, but not because of her ritual, because of what actually appeared. Something had gone terribly wrong, or terribly right. It was not a trick, not an illusion, not something conjured from her imagination. The prophet Samuel himself stood before them, called from the realm of the dead, and he was not pleased.
Why do you disturb my rest?
Samuel, I am in great distress. The Philistines attack and
You have disobeyed. The kingdom is torn from you.
have mercy, my lord. I have sinned. Do not forsake me.
Why have you disturbed me by bringing me up? Samuel's spirit asked angrily. I am in great distress, Saul answered. The Philistines are fighting against me, and God has departed from me. He no longer answers me, either by prophets or by dreams. So I have called on you to tell me what to do.
You have disobeyed the Lord. Your kingdom will not endure.
You have rejected the word of the Lord, and so he has rejected you as king.
Why do you consult me, now that the Lord has departed from you and become your enemy? The Lord has done what he predicted through me. The Lord has torn the kingdom out of your hands and given it to one of your neighbors, to David. Because you did not obey the Lord or carry out his fierce wrath against the Amalekites, the Lord has done this to you today.
The Lord will deliver both Israel and you into the hands of the Philistines, and tomorrow you and your sons will be with me.
You are judged, Saul. Your kingdom is torn from you. You have forfeited your rights to the throne.
The Lord will deliver both Israel and you into the hands of the Philistines. And tomorrow, you and your sons will be with me. Saul fell full length on the ground, paralyzed by terror. He had received his answer. Tomorrow he would die. Tomorrow his sons would die. Tomorrow the kingdom would fall. The witch stood frozen, realizing she had been part of something far beyond her power. She had called a spirit, but God had answered. But something unexpected would happen next. In the presence of death's certainty, a witch would show a king more kindness. Next episode, The Last Supper. A condemned man's final meal, prepared by the hands he once sought to destroy. What would you do if you knew tomorrow was your last day?
The hour is late, Saul. Come, take your portion.
This meal, I fear, is the last.
Saul came seeking answers. The prophet Samuel appeared from beyond the grave, and the answer was death. Tomorrow, the king and his sons would die.
My lord, you must rise. We have to leave this place.
No, it is over. Let me die here.
Saul lay on the cold cave floor, unable to move. It wasn't physical weakness that paralyzed him. It was the knowledge. Tomorrow, everything would end. His kingdom, his sons, his life. He had eaten nothing for a day and a night. But what was food to a dead man? My lord, please, you must rise. We need to go, says one of the servants. The woman watched in silence. This was Saul, the king who had hunted her kind, who had driven mediums into hiding, who had made her life one of fear and secrecy. But looking at him now, broken, condemned, utterly alone, she saw not a king, but simply a man who would not see another sunrise. Look, your servant has obeyed you. I took my life in my hands and did what you told me to do. Now please listen to your servant. Let me give you some food so you may eat and have the strength to go on your way, says the witch. It was the last thing anyone expected. The witch showing mercy, offering kindness to the man who had once been her enemy. I will not eat, says Saul. What was the point? Food could not change tomorrow. Strength could not alter destiny. Samuel had spoken, and Samuel's words were the words of God. My lord, please, you must eat. You listened to me and risked your life. Now listen to me again. You need strength for what comes next. Together, the servants and the witch, they urged him, not because food would save him, but because even a condemned man deserves dignity. Even the dying deserve care. She had a fattened calf at her house. She slaughtered it. She took flour and kneaded it, preparing unleavened bread, bread made without waiting for it to rise. There was no time for rising. There was no time for anything.
Gently now. Watch his head.
He is so heavy. Look how pale he is.
Meanwhile, the servants lifted their king. Slowly, carefully, they raised him from the ground and helped him sit against the cave wall. He did not resist. He did not speak. He simply allowed it. When the food was ready, she brought it to him. Bread, still warm, meat, carefully prepared. She set it before him, this witch, this woman of forbidden arts, and waited. Saul ate, not because he was hungry, not because he wanted to, but because a dead man walking needs strength for his final journey. This was his last supper, prepared by the hands he had once condemned, eaten in a cave he would have once raided, shared with the very people he had persecuted. As the first hint of dawn touched the horizon, Saul rose. He had eaten, he had rested, not in peace, but in resignation. Now it was time. The witch watched from her doorway as they left. No words were spoken. What was there to say? She had shown mercy to a king. He walked toward his death. And by tomorrow's end, she would be the only one left alive to remember this night. Saul walked toward Mount Gilboa, toward the Philistine army, toward the battle he knew he would not survive. The prophet had spoken. Tomorrow would come, and with it, the fulfillment of every word.
Final episode. The prophecy fulfilled. Tomorrow came, and with it, death.
The prophet Samuel spoke from beyond the grave. Tomorrow, you and your sons will be with me. Saul ate his last meal. Dawn broke, and the king walked toward his destiny. Tomorrow had come.
Advance, sons of Philistia, for victory! Hold the line, Israelites! Fight for your lives!
Mount Gilboa, the place where kingdoms fall. The Philistine army had gathered, thousands strong, their weapons gleaming in the morning sun. Across the valley, the army of Israel stood ready. King Saul stood among them, knowing what his soldiers did not. By nightfall, this would be his grave.
Sons, may God be with us.
For the kingdom.
Beside him stood his sons, Jonathan, brave and beloved, Abinadab, Malchishua, 3 young men who would fight for their father and their kingdom. 3 young men who had no idea this would be their last day. But Saul knew, and the knowing made every breath agony.
For the Republic, charge! For the Empire, engage! Charge!
The horn sounded, and the armies collided. Steel against steel, shield against shield, brother against brother in the ancient dance of war.
All back! We're outnumbered! Philistines advance! They're too many! Move! Push forward!
The Philistines pressed hard, too hard. The men of Israel began to fall, and then they began to flee.
For Israel, attack!
Philistines pursued Saul and his sons. Jonathan, David's friend, Israel's hope, fought with all the strength he had. He was brave, he was skilled, he was everything a son should be. But prophecy does not bend to courage.
Father! For God in Israel.
And Jonathan fell, Abinadab fell, Malchishua fell. All three of Saul's sons cut down on the same battlefield on the same day, just as the prophet had spoken. The line of Saul was being erased before his eyes.
No! My sons! No! They fall! All of them! Gone!
Saul saw them fall, all three, his sons, his legacy, his future. Everything Samuel had prophesied was coming true, every single word.
No! They found me!
The fighting grew fierce around Saul. The Philistine archers spotted him, the king, the prize. They drew their bows.
It is done! Forgive me! It is over!
The arrows found him. 1, 2, 3. Saul staggered, critically wounded. Around him, the battle raged on. But for him, the battle was over. All that remained was the manner of his death.
You must do this! For me! For us! Now!
His armor-bearer rushed to his side, a young man who had followed Saul into every battle. But this battle would end differently than all the others. "Draw your sword," Saul commanded him, "and run me through, or these uncircumcised men will come and abuse me." Better to die by a Hebrew sword than live to be mocked by the Philistines. Better to choose his end than let them choose it for him. But the armor-bearer could not. He was terrified. How could he kill the Lord's anointed? How could he strike down his king? His hands shook, his sword stayed sheathed. So Saul took his own sword. If his armor-bearer would not grant him this final mercy, he would grant it to himself. And Saul fell on his sword. The king of Israel was dead, just as the prophet had said. When the armor-bearer saw that Saul was dead, he too fell on his sword and died with him. Loyal to the end, following his king even into death. Every word Samuel had spoken came to pass. Not one syllable fell to the ground. Tomorrow came, and Saul and his sons were with Samuel in death. The prophecy was fulfilled.
The Lord will deliver both Israel and you into the hands of the Philistines, and tomorrow you and your sons will be with me.
The kingdom would pass to another, to David, a man after God's own heart. From the ashes of Saul's disobedience would rise a new kingdom, a better kingdom. But the cost was written in blood on Mount Gilboa.